Hi everyone, welcome back to your mat and welcome to our practice. So this second class in our holiday series is all about finding your strength. So this practice is themed around the Nutcracker. One of my favorite holiday traditions is going to see the Nutcracker Ballet. Now, we're not going to be doing ballet, but we are going to be moving gracefully on our mat today with that theme of the Nutcracker. But I want to just chat with you a little bit about the history of Nutcrackers. It seems fitting that the Nutcracker was invented in like the 17th century here in Germany. So the idea behind the Nutcracker is that it traditionally was to crack nuts, but also to stand guard as like the strength of the home. So to kind of like protect the home from anything evil. So it was really like this symbol of strength and unity in your home. So it wasn't until later when Tchaikovsky wrote the Nutcracker Ballet that it kind of became associated with the holiday season. So we are going to go back to its roots, back to its strength in our practice, and that's how we're going to kind of tie it in today. So I want you to get seated, get comfortable. We're going to come into this place of rest first to start our practice. So any comfortable seated position works, and we will go ahead and get started. So as we come into this comfortable seated position on our mats, let's soften the shoulders, connect and root down with our place on our mats, and just softly close the eyes. We're going to begin our practice today with just a little visualization. So we're going to start envisioning a little Nutcracker figurine. This can be any shape, any color, any size. But just imagine a little Nutcracker standing strong. And as it's standing there, it is inviting you to find your own strength. Especially during the holiday season, we can be pulled in a million different directions, but it's important that we find our boundaries, that we stand firm in these boundaries, and that we can find our strength to just let ourselves experience the joy of the holiday season. And maybe the holiday season isn't very joyful for you this year, and that's okay too. Again, we put lots of pressure on ourselves and those around us to live in this place of joy and excitement in the holidays, and sometimes that's not realistic. So if that's not for you, that's okay too. You can still pull into that strength that you have. Use that little figurine of the Nutcracker to help you stand strong in whatever it is that you need this holiday season. Let's take another big deep breath here. Let's lift the chin up towards the sky. Take another big deep breath here, opening up that throat space. And gently release. We can open the eyes or keep them closed. So we're going to do another practice here for the jaw and for that throat space. And we're going to move into our lion's breath. So we're going to take a big deep breath in through the nose. And then as we exhale, we're going to open the mouth wide, stick the tongue out, kind of envision that Nutcracker mouth opening really wide. We'll inhale here, in through the nose. Exhale into your lion's breath. Inhale again. Exhale, let it go. I know we probably feel a little bit silly, but I promise you this is getting a lot of that stored up extra energy out of our body. So let's do it one more time. Inhale and exhale. Good. All right. Let's start to move the arms. We're going to inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, we're going to float those hands back down by our side. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, float the hands down. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. Good. From here, we're going to bring hands to the knees. And I know those nutcrackers have really strong backs, but we're going to loosen ours up a little bit here. So we'll inhale, lift the chest, lift the chin. Exhale, sink into a seated cat pose, tucking the chin, pulling the belly in, rounding the shoulders. And then again, inhale, lift and open. Exhale, round and stretch. We'll do that a few more times here. And then you can move in any way that feels good. You can continue just moving in cat and cow pose, or we can kind of roll a little bit, rock side to side. And then let's come back through center. We're going to come onto our hands and knees, coming into our tabletop. So from our tabletop pose, we're going to bring the wrists under the shoulders, knees under the hips, hold the core nice and strong, and again, move in our cat and our cow pose. So we'll inhale, lift and lengthen through the spine. Exhale, round the spine, tuck the chin, tuck the tail. And then keep moving at a pace that feels comfortable for you, trying to match your breath with your movement. And then let's gently come back into that tabletop. We're going to come into our child's pose. So bring the big toes together, open the knees, sit the hips back to the heels. Let's walk those hands forward, rest the forehead down to our mat, or we can stack the hands, rest the forehead on our hands, or even bring the arms back by our side with the palms up towards the sky. So find a pose that helps you feel comfortable and kind of tune inward here. And we're going to go back to talking a little bit about that nutcracker theme. Now I know we're going to work on finding our strength once we get to some of our standing postures, but the nutcracker is based on this dream reality. So this little girl has this dream about the nutcracker coming to life and saving her from the evil Mouse King. And then they take this journey through the land of the sweets. Now this is all just in her mind, in her dream space. So I want you to take a moment here to envision your reality for this holiday season. What does your ideal holiday season look like? Maybe create that little dream in your mind. And anytime that we put energy into these thoughts, into these dreams and these wishes, it helps them come to life. So we want to try to create this positive intention, this positive dream space in our mind's eye, so that we can work on creating this reality for ourselves. So maybe you take a minute and just connect with your senses. So I'm going to talk you through a quick little body scan, 5 senses meditation here as it relates to your holiday season. So let's go through the 5 senses. What is something that you see during your ideal holiday season? What is something that you hear during this holiday season? What sounds bring you joy? And then what do you smell? Imagine smelling those wonderful scents of the holiday season, whatever those are for you. Maybe it's a favorite meal, the way a Christmas tree smells, your favorite candle, the fireplace crackling. It can be anything that you can smell. And then what do you taste? Connect to your sense of taste and imagine tasting this holiday season in whatever way feels best for you. And then lastly, we'll move to our sense of touch. What helps you feel comfortable and cozy and relaxed in this holiday season? Imagine feeling those things. And now that you've created this little dreamlike scenario in your mind, we're going to work on pulling that into our reality. Just planting those seeds here, manifesting what we want our holiday season to feel like. And then let's move those sensations into our body. So we're going to extend the arms out if they're not there already. And we're going to gently move into a modified sun salutation. So we'll inhale, come forward to our kneeling plank. Bring the knees in line with the hips. Lower all the way down to our belly. And then we're going to keep light pressure on our hands. Lift the shoulders for our cobra pose. Gently release. Press back into our kneeling plank and then shift the hips back to child's pose. Let's work through that one more time. Inhale forward. Exhale, lower to the belly. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, pressing to kneeling plank. Exhale to child's pose. Let's go ahead and curl the toes, lift the hips, find our downward facing dog. Take a moment in downward dog, pedal the heels, move the hips. Find any movement that we need to start waking the legs up, waking the ankles up, building some heat into our shoulders. Maybe shake the head yes and no here. Work on pulling those shoulder blades down the back, bending the knees as much as we need to press the chest back towards the thighs. Take another big deep breath here. And then we'll take our gaze forward, gently march those feet forward towards the hands. Walk the hands back towards the feet. Soften in your forward fold. Softly bend the knees. Release the tension from the head and the neck. Let's inhale, lift halfway, extend the spine. Come into a flat back. Gently round and release. Bend the knees and reverse our swan dive. Come all the way up to standing. Reach those hands to the sky and then bring hands to heart center. Take a moment, shake everything out, make any adjustments. We've made it to standing. I always think it's an accomplishment once we get up to standing on our mats. So from here, we're going to come into our mountain pose and we're going to work on a little bit of fun stuff as it relates to the Nutcracker Ballet. So we're going to kind of go back and forth in these themes today, but we're going to start in our mountain pose nice and grounded. So I want you to kind of imagine yourself in this Nutcracker roll. Our feet are right underneath us, standing nice and firm, planting down through the feet. We're lifting those shoulders and then pressing them down, reaching the hands down towards the earth. Lengthen from the crown of the head. Take a big deep breath here. Feel your strength and your stability in this mountain pose. Exhale, let it go. We're going to inhale, sweep the arms out and up into our extended mountain. Now kind of imagine here that we're just kind of growing into a Christmas tree. We're going to bring the fingertips together, make that little pyramid shape, soften the shoulders, take a big deep breath. And then let's open up that heart space and throat space by taking a tiny little back bend. So we're just going to hinge towards the back a little bit, lift the chin up towards the sky, open up, and then gently release the hands coming back down into our mountain pose. So we're going to do that just a few times. We'll inhale, sweep the arms out and up, connect the fingers, make that point at the top, lift up through the chin, open up that heart space. Gently release and release the hands. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, reach the arms out and up. Soften the shoulders, lift the chin, hinge back slightly. Come back through center and release the hands. Good, all right, shake everything out. We're gonna move a little bit more. So we're gonna go from our mountain pose into our chair pose. So we're gonna flow a little bit back and forth here. So almost like in ballet, it would be like a little plie, like we're going to brace ourselves to start to move. So we're going to warm up the legs, warm up the hips a little bit. So we're going to start in mountain pose, and then we're going to sink to our chair, sweeping the arms forward. And then we'll inhale, come back into our strong mountain pose. Exhale, sink into our chair. So let's find our flow here. Move at a pace that's comfortable for your body. Inhaling as we come into our mountain pose. Exhaling as we sink into our chair. Again, we're flowing with the arms. So reaching forward, lifting the chest, and then finding that strong mountain pose. Now we're going to change this up in a little bit. So I want you to keep moving, keep flowing. Good. All right, we're going to add a little bit of a march to this. So when we inhale, come into our mountain pose, we're going to lift one leg up. Now it doesn't matter because we're going to do both. So we're going to drop that foot, sink into our chair pose. Lift into mountain and lift the opposite leg up. So when we lift, we're trying to bring that knee up to hip height, flexing the foot nice and strong. Sink back into your chair. Inhale, lift into mountain and lift one leg up. Sink into your chair. Inhale, lift. So this little march, again, this kind of reminds me of that toy soldier in the Nutcracker where they're marching, trying to defeat that king, that mouse king, because nobody wants a little rat mouse running around their house, right? So we're going to keep marching nice and strong, sweep the arms, and lift. One more time to each side. And then we're going to come back into that strong mountain pose. Release the feet, shake out the arms, release the tension. So here's the thing, when we're strong in these poses, it's important to release, to let go, to just get that energy out when we're not trying to be strong. So it's kind of like this ebb and flow of strength and stability, but also fluidity to go with the flow. So we're going to move into our star pose next. So we're going to turn, you can turn long ways on your mat, and we're going to open up the feet nice and wide, toes turn out slightly, soften the shoulders, and inhale, reach the arms to our 5-point star. Take a big deep breath here. Exhale, let's sink into our goddess pose. So again, we're going to flow with our breath. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Continue moving here at a pace that feels comfortable. Again, flowing, but finding the strength. So reaching that energy up. Exhaling, sinking into your squat. Again, we're just moving and flowing here. And then we're going to add on a little bit extra fun because, well, why not? It's the holiday season. We're going to have lots of fun here. We're going to move that star. So let's come into that goddess pose. Hold this goddess pose. Now what we're going to do is we're going to shift side to side. So as we inhale, we're going to shift over to the right side, reach the arms up into that 5-point star. So we could call this like a falling star, maybe a shooting star. I like shooting star. We're going to go with that. So we're going to come into this shooting star, and then we're going to come back into that goddess squat. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. Extend, shoot that energy up, find your shooting star, and then release back into your goddess pose. Let's keep moving back and forth, side to side, reach and bend. Now when we reach side to side and transfer that weight, it's fine to not even lift that other leg. You can just point the toes and stay nice and grounded here. If we want to find a little bit more stability, that's okay too. You get to choose what level you want to take your shooting stars. Good. Let's do one more to each side. We'll reach those arms up. We're going to turn the feet parallel and then take a nice big swan dive into our forward fold with the feet nice and wide. Again, shake the head, yes and no. We'll take a few deep breaths here, trying to soften the tension. The hands can be on the floor or the legs, whatever feels good for you. And then let's lift halfway. So we're going to come extending the spine here. Hands to the shins and lifting into a flat back. Reaching from the crown of the head back through the tailbone. And then gently release. Bend the knees. Come all the way up. Reach those arms up to the sky and float hands to heart center. All right, again, take a minute, shake it out. Just like I mentioned, we want to release any of that tension that's holding and storing in our body. And we're going to move into our next flow. So we're going to come up towards the top of our mat, and we're going to come into our mountain pose here. We're going to work on that little transition between our dream state where we just spent that time kind of fighting off the Mouse King in the story, and then moving into something a little bit more delicious in the land of the sweets. So we're going to transition here into our strong warrior poses first. So we're going to start with that mountain pose. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. We're going to take the right leg back first into a high lunge, drop that right heel, and sweep the arms up into our warrior one. Now here again, we're kind of setting off on this voyage into finding something a little bit sweeter for our holiday season. So we're gonna lift up, get excited about that exploration. Exhale, open into our warrior two. When we open into this warrior two, we're keeping the bend into that left knee, opening up through the hips, taking that gaze forward because we're looking forward. We're not looking in the past. We're not looking back here. We're looking forward towards the future, towards the new year, towards this adventure that we're on. Take a big deep breath here. And then let's flow back and forth here. So we're just going to flow with the arms. The legs are going to stay the same. So we're going to inhale, lift up into our reverse warrior. So the left hand lifts to the sky, right hand can be supported on that back leg or come behind the back. And then we're going to flow into our side angle, where that left forearm comes to the thigh, right arm comes overhead. Inhale, let's lift up. Exhale, flow into side angle. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold into side angle. One more time, inhale and exhale. Let's come all the way back up to our warrior two. We're going to cartwheel those hands down, frame that front foot, step back to our downward facing dog. And then take a moment here. You can hang out in downward dog or drop the knees and rest in child's pose, or you can work through a sun salutation from here. If we're going to flow in the sun salutation, we'll inhale forward to our plank. Exhale, lower chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog, or stay on the belly for cobra. Exhale, back to downward dog. Big deep breath here. Take that gaze forward, walk or float the feet to meet the hands. Soften in your forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, reverse swan dive to stand. Exhale, hands to heart. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. You stay where you're at. I'm going to turn side so I'm not backwards towards the camera. But we're going to inhale, sweep those arms out and up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. This time we're going to step the left leg back, drop the left heel, sweep the arms up, find our strong warrior one. Soften the shoulders, prepare yourself to move into that adventure on this side. We're going to continue that journey. Take a big deep breath. And then note too that this journey might feel a little bit different on this side. Our sides of the body are different, just like life, everybody's path is different. So we're going to embrace it, take a big deep breath, and then open up into our warrior two. Again, find your strength and stability here before we start to move. Taking that gaze out over the middle finger of the right hand, soften the shoulders, hold the core strong, and then let's find that little bit of fluidity in the strength in our flow. So we're going to go back to our reverse warrior. Again, we can take that left hand down to the leg or wrap it behind the back and reach the right hand up to the sky. And then we're going to fold into our side angle. Inhale, lift up nice and tall. Exhale, fold, side angle. Inhale, lift. Reverse that warrior. Exhale, fold. One more time. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Good. Let's come back through that warrior two. We're going to cartwheel the hands down to the ground, turn onto the back toes, plant the hands, step back to our downward facing dog. Big deep breath here, pedal the heels, move the hips. And then we can work through our flow. Inhale, rolling forward to our plank. Exhale, lowering for chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, back to downward dog. Take a big deep breath here. And then take that gaze forward, march the feet up to meet the hands. Hands can walk back to the feet. Soften in your forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, reverse swan dive. And exhale, hands to heart. Good, we made it through that flow. We are going to get into the really delicious stuff in the land of the sweets. So let's go ahead and come back to the top of our mat, and we're gonna go into our next flow. So again, I'm gonna move back to the other side of my mat so I can stay facing towards the camera. And we're gonna come into a little bit more depth into the hips. So we're gonna open up the hips and we're gonna find our flow through a couple different variations here. So we're gonna start in mountain pose. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. We're gonna step the right leg back again to start. Drop that right knee. Sweep the arms up into a kneeling lunge. Now, in the land of the sweets, there's a lot of different, I don't really even know how to say it. It's like chocolate and Arabian, and then there's like the little pom-pom guys. There's like so many different variations of people in the land of the sweets. So we're gonna start with the chocolate. So I know everybody loves some chocolate, right? So we're gonna work on just kind of moving with the hips, tempering our own little body heat here. So we're gonna sweep the arms up, and then we're gonna fold back and come into a half split. So we're gonna kind of move back and forth. Inhale, lift up, exhale, fold. So find a rhythm that feels good. Now, if it doesn't feel great to lift, we can walk the hands forward and walk the hands back. Again, lots of variation here. We can stay with the hands on the thighs, shifting forward and shifting back. So any variation that feels good for you. Now, this is like the same thing if you think about types of chocolate, right? Sometimes we love white chocolate, sometimes we don't. Maybe we like dark chocolate or milk chocolate or, especially Belgian chocolate. That's my favorite. So we're gonna just move and find what feels the best in our own bodies. So it may not look the same as what I'm doing or the person next to you is doing, and that's okay. See what feels good to open up your own hips, your own legs here. And then let's go ahead and release those hands on the inside of that left foot. Circle the left foot back. We're gonna curl the toes, lift the hips up and back to our downward facing dog. From here, we're gonna pedal the heels, move the hips a bit. And before we move into the other side, we're gonna move into our Arabian. So from here, we're gonna kind of snake up through the body. So I want you to think about kind of rounding as we roll forward to our plank, kind of like a cat pose, dropping the knees and lifting up into our upward dog. So that little kind of snake flow is kind of what we're gonna do here. Once we get to this upward dog, let's bend that right knee, reach the head back. Now, some dancers can like reach their toes to their head. Again, maybe that's you and that's awesome, but for me, we're just gonna pretend. We're gonna lift up and then release, shift those hips back, lift back to our downward dog. So we're gonna go through that flow a couple times. We're gonna round the spine as we lift up onto the toes and then roll forward to our plank, drop the knees, lift to upward facing dog, bend that right knee, and then release. Lift the hips back to our downward facing dog. One more time, roll the spine, lift to upward facing dog, bend that right knee, release, lift the hips up and back. From here, let's walk the feet forward towards the hands, hands back towards the feet. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, release. Inhale, reverse swan dive to stand. Exhale, hands to heart. All right, how was that? Chocolate and Arabian all together. We've got to do the same thing on the other side though. So you stay where you're at. I'm going to turn and we're going to fold forward and come into the other side. So from that mountain pose, inhale the arms up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, we're going to step the left leg back, drop that left knee, top of the foot, come into our kneeling lunge. Soften the shoulders. Now again, you can stick with what worked on the other side. If you want to try something different, explore. We're going to move back and forth here, shifting into the lunge and then back into our half split. So again, any variation of this that feels good for you, hands on the thigh, hands on the floor, sweeping them up. Just remember to breathe Inhale as we sink into the lunge, and exhale as we find that half split. Good. Now I want you to, again, explore here. So see what this side of the body is asking of you. What feels good here? It might be a little bit different because, again, we went through that flow on the other side and kind of warmed up the spine a little bit more in the legs. So feel free to move around and change it up. We'll do one more breath into the lunge and exhale, release. Let's bring the hands down on the other side. On the inside of that right foot, curl the toes, and we'll go back to our downward facing dog. Now we're gonna do that same Arabian flow from here. So from that downward facing dog, we're gonna lift up to the toes as we roll forward, round the spine, coming into our plank, drop the knees, lift up to our upward facing dog. This time we're gonna bend the left knee, and then release. Lift back up to our downward facing dog. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, roll forward, rounding, dropping the knees, upward dog, bending that left knee, release, and lift back to downward dog. 1 more time, roll forward, lift to upward dog, bend the left knee, release, back to downward dog. Take a deep breath here, shake the head yes and no. And then we'll take the gaze forward, walk or float the feet to meet the hands. Soften in your forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, reverse swan dive to stand. Exhale, hands to heart. All right, we made it through both sides. We're gonna get into some more juicy stuff. So let's come back into our mountain pose on our mats. So the next pose that we're gonna do, I want you to turn long ways on your mat. This is the T, and the T is traditionally from China. So we are gonna start in this mountain pose with our feet together, and they do a lot of jumping and a lot of moving. So we're gonna go from our chair pose, and we're gonna kind of jump open into our goddess pose. So we're gonna come from our chair here, and we're gonna jump and open. Now, I'm gonna give you options. So if you don't wanna jump, we're just gonna step open. So you go from that chair pose, we'll step open, keeping the knees open, arms open, keeping that chest lifted. So we're going open position here, stepping back to a closed position. All right, so if you wanna jump, well, let's shake it out first. Let's give ourselves a minute. We're gonna come into that mountain pose. Take a big deep breath. Exhale, sink into chair, hands at heart center. So we're hinged a little bit here. We're gonna jump open with the feet. So open and then close. And then open and close. Let's do this 5 times, 5 more times, I should say. So you can step or jump. So we'll open and close. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale and exhale. 2 more times. Inhale and exhale. Last time. And exhale. And release. Sweet relief. Shake it out. Those inner thighs might be burning. That's the point. It's quick. We're over. We're through the T. We are moving into the candy canes. So we're going to get a good little stretch here. We're going to inhale, sweep the arms out and up. On our exhale, we're going to float that right hand down as we hinge to the right side. So we're kind of making like a little candy cane shape with our body. We're going to reach that left hand overhead. You can bend the arm as much as you want. Reach it towards the side. Head can come up or stay down, whatever feels good. And then we'll come back through center, bring both hands up. Same thing on the other side. Left hand drops, hinge towards that left side. Again, we can look up or down. Let's inhale, come through center, release the hands, shake it all out. Now we're gonna open the feet nice and wide. At this point in the Nutcracker, Mother Ginger comes in, and if you've seen a lot of different variations, but Mother Ginger is wearing a giant dress because she's got the little people underneath her that come out and do a show. So, which kind of sounds weird now that I say it like that, but you know what? I didn't make it. I'm just relaying the messages. So we're going to take a nice wide forward fold, but open up those feet nice and wide, turn the toes out, reach those arms up, exhale into your wide forward fold. Shake the head yes and no. Move those hips a bit side to side. You can take some side lunges here, stretch out the inner thighs. We'll come back through center. And then we're going to come into a nice wide yogi squat here. So hands can stay on the floor or your block if you have a block, or the hands can come up to the thighs as we sink down into a squat. So from here, if you want to use the elbows on the thighs and stay lifted, you can. You could also walk those feet together, bring hands to heart center and lift the chest. Come into that true yogi squat or anywhere in between. So find what works for you. Again, you can move or you can hold, whatever feels good. We'll take another big deep breath here. And then gently release, lift the hips up to the sky, walk the feet together a little bit, shake out the legs. Let's lift halfway, extend the spine. Exhale, release. Inhale, reverse swan dive to stand. Exhale, hands to heart. Good. All right, we're going to move into our next pose, and this is going to be the last thing we do standing before we get down to the floor. We couldn't do the Nutcracker without talking about the Sugar Plum Fairy. Now, the Sugar Plum Fairy is this beautiful dancer. She has lots of it. She kind of like takes you around to the different places. So we're going to do that gracefully with our dancer pose. So I'm going to turn a little bit on my mat just so we can see alignment stuff here. But we're going to start in our mountain pose. Inhale the arms out and up. Exhale, hands to heart. We're going to shift all the way into the right leg first. So as we shift into the right leg, again, pull that energy up. Try not to kick the hip out to the side. We're going to bend that left knee. Now we can keep the toes down and reach that left hand back, or we can take the foot into our hand. So we can hold that left foot with the left hand. Right hand can lift to the sky. We can hold here. Now, if we want to take this further into our dancer pose, we're going to press that left foot into the left hand. And as we press the foot into the hand, it's going to naturally hinge the hips forward slightly. So take a big deep breath here. Find your balance, find your focal spot. And then we'll come back through center, gently release, and shake it all out. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So coming back into your mountain pose, we're going to inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, hands to heart. We're going to find that beautiful Sugar Plum Fairy dancer pose on the other leg. So we'll shift into the left leg this time. We're going to bend that right knee, right foot can reach back into that right hand. And we want to try to squeeze the knees together. So we don't want to create a lot of openness and space here, but we want to keep the hips aligned. So knee comes right underneath the hip. The left hand can lift to the sky. Now you can press again into the foot, foot into the hand, any way that feels good. And we can hinge into our dancer pose. Take a big deep breath here. And we'll come back through center, gently release, and shake it all out. All right, we've made it. This is a really fun class, but we've done a lot of moving. It's time to settle. Get ready for that dream state again. So we're gonna come up towards the top of our mat. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, release. Plant the hands. Let's step back to our downward facing dog. And then gently drop the knees. Sit back into our child's pose. We're going to take a few deep breaths here in our child's pose just to settle the breathing, Soften the shoulders, soften through the hips. Release any tension through the back. And then bring that attention back to your imagination, your vision of your holiday season. Come back into that mind space. Take a few deep breaths here, remembering your 5 senses. And let's inhale, come all the way up onto the knees. We're going to circle the legs around, come into a seated position. So we're going to come into a seated forward fold next. I like to imagine this as like we're on that sleigh, heading back home, back into our beds to get cozy. So we're going to extend those legs forward, reach the arms up to the sky, exhale, fold forward. Let yourself just rest here. Hands on the shins, ankles, toes, soften the shoulders. Again, release any tension from the head and the neck. Take a few big, deep breaths here. Again, these next few poses are really going to prepare us to come into our final relaxation. So soften the tension with each exhale. Let's take one more breath here. Gently release the hands, come all the way up. Okay, we're going to take a seated spinal twist here. So we're going to bring the right foot in, and we're going to twist towards the right leg first. So we're going to bring the left arm across to hug that right knee in towards the body. Right hand comes behind the hips. Inhale, lift up nice and tall, and exhale from the base of the spine, rotating towards that right leg and maybe looking towards the back of our mat. Again, we're trying to unwind the tension here. So each time we breathe, let's inhale, think nice and long length through the crown of the head, and exhale a little bit deeper into our twist. And we'll gently come back through center. Good. Shake out that leg. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Left leg will come in. Right arm's going to hug that left knee towards the center of the body. The left hand comes behind us, and we're going to inhale, lengthen, exhale into the twist, starting with the base of the spine, working through the rib cage, the chest, and the shoulders. And then maybe taking that gaze back towards the back of our mat again. Let's do one more big deep breath here. And then gently unwind back through center. Shake out the legs. Good. All right, we're going to lay all the way down. Got a couple more poses before we relax. So let's shift those hips forward. Make sure we've got space behind us. Give our knees a great big hug. Rock a bit side to side. We're going to extend the legs up to the sky. Point and flex the feet. Roll the ankles. And then give those knees a great big hug. Let's drop the feet down. We're going to come into our pigeon pose here. So we'll take the right ankle, cross it on top of the left thigh. We can hang out right here, guide that right thigh away from us, or we can bring the left knee in towards the chest, interlace the fingers, and get a little deeper stretch into the right hip and the right glutes here. So try to soften through the shoulders. You can close the eyes. Our legs worked hard for us today, building that strength through our practice. So let's show them some love in these stretches. Breathe into the hips. Exhale, let that tension go. Now let's gently release that left foot down, uncross the legs, take some windshield wipers with the knees, find some movement before we move to the other side. And then we'll come into our pigeon pose on the other side. So left ankle crosses on top of the right thigh. Again, our choice to stay right here and just guide that left knee away, or we can bring that right knee in towards the chest. Soften the tension through the body. Take some big, deep breaths here. Let's go ahead and take one more breath in this pigeon pose. And then gently release that right foot down, uncross the legs, rock the knees side to side. And then we're gonna get ready to move into our Shavasana. So we'll give those knees one more great big hug, pull the forehead up towards the knees, and then gently release, coming into your place of rest and relaxation. That can be with the knees bent, feet flat on our mat, hands can rest on the belly or down by our side. We could also extend the legs out to the corners of the mat and just try to settle yourself, rock a little bit, feel yourself kind of melt into your relaxation pose. Softly close the eyes. I'm going to come back to seated so I can talk you through our body scan. So again, just know that your body supported you through this practice today. Our goal was to find that strength so that we have the energy to hold our ground, to create those boundaries, to find the joy in this season. But right now, in this moment, it's time to find rest. So let's take a big deep breath and soften the whole body, starting with the feet and the toes, releasing the tension through the ankles, the calves, and the shins, softening the knees, feeling the thighs grow heavy, allowing the hips to open, noticing that gentle rise and fall of our belly and our chest with each breath. Let the shoulders melt down into the floor. Soften through the arms, the hands, and the fingers. And then release any tension through the neck and the jaws. Soften the muscles of the face and the corners of the eyes. And lastly, the mind. Acknowledge any thoughts that come to mind, and then imagine them floating away. Letting yourself be here in this dreamlike state of rest and relaxation for the next few minutes. Now let's gently begin to wake the body, wiggling fingers and toes, deepening the breath, bringing that awareness back to our place on our mat and our place in this room. And slowly, gently bringing the knees in towards the chest. Give them a great big hug. Maybe rock a little bit side to side. And then gently release the feet. Inhale the arms overhead. Take a big stretch for the back. And exhale, turn over to one side, whichever side is most comfortable. And then again, take another big deep breath as you ground yourself here and then press to a comfortable seated position on your mat. Again, move slowly, move intentionally here. Once you get to your seated position, the legs can be crossed, they can be extended out, whatever feels most comfortable in your body. We'll lift the shoulders, roll them down the back. Again, gently close the eyes, tuck the chin towards the chest. We'll take a moment here to offer ourselves love and gratitude for being present in our practice, for honoring whatever it is that our body needs this holiday season, but then planting those seeds of joy in our lives. Let's bring hands together at heart center. I like to end each practice with a quote. This one is from Mary Ann Rodmacher. It says, "May your walls know joy. May every room hold laughter. and every window open to possibility. Let's take one more breath together, inhaling in peace, joy, and love, and exhaling anything that no longer serves us. The light in me honors and is grateful for the light in you. Namaste. Thank you so much for showing up on your mat, having fun with me in this Nutcracker themed practice. I hope that you will look at those little nutcrackers with a little bit of a different perspective now as they guard your home and keep you safe and strong and protected. And I hope you had some fun today. So I can't wait to meet you back on your mat for our next holiday practice. Bye.